So good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to our Softcat hosted seminar in partnership with the BYP network. So thank you all so much for registering for this event and for your attendance today. So as mentioned just now, the topic of discussion is all around non-techies transitioning to the tech industry. So the biggest myths surrounding the tech industry is that you need to be tech savvy or technical in order to enter the industry. However, research has found that up to 54% of jobs at tech companies are in non-tech roles. But despite this, there is still some hesitation from job seekers in entering the industry. And we hope that over the course of this next hour, we can do our part to debust these assumptions and give you confidence in applying for jobs within the tech industry. And by the end of the session, we hope that you can gain an understanding of the roles available within the tech industry that go beyond traditional techie roles, gain guidance and advice of navigating a career and a career change into technology, and hear from some of our current Softcat employees regarding their current roles and their personal journeys into the tech industry and into Softcat. And if you don't know who Softcat are, we are a leading provider of IT solutions and services. We're an award-winning FTSE 250 company with 10 offices across the UK and Ireland. I heard someone from Birmingham. I'm from Birmingham. You can hear it in my voice. And we have some international hubs in places such as the US and the Netherlands. My name's Keisha, and I'm an internal recruiter here at Softcat. I specifically look after our apprenticeship and internship programs. And I'll now allow each of the panel to introduce themselves. So whenever you're ready, if you could let the audience know your name, your role, and your office location and how long you've been at Softcat as well. So I'll allow you to go first, Natasha.
Hi guys, lovely to meet you all. My name's Natasha. I'm a Cisco customer success manager. I'm based in the South Coast and I have been here for just over 6 months.
Perfect. And then next we'll go over to Afisha.
Hi guys, nice to meet you. My name's Afisha, but you can call me Fee. I work in the Marlow office and I'm a solutions hub executive. So I do like Cisco quoting and ordering and like solution providing for customers that want to purchase Cisco. And next week we'll make a year that I've been at Softcat.
Perfect. And then we should hopefully soon be joined by Jordan Obikwe. He is a sales development program manager, and he's also an account executive as well. But I think he's having some tech issues joining the call, so hopefully he'll be joining us a little bit later on. And he's based in the London office. So a warm welcome to our panelists, and we'll begin the discussion now. So can you just start by providing a bit more of a summary of your role and what you kind of do on a day-to-day? Whoever would like to go first.
Yeah, I don't mind following the last way we did it. So I'm a very customer focused, account management focused based role. Day-to-day activity is performing onboarding, so conducting them. Any licensing queries that a customer might have, I can engage with the account manager or someone else from the Cisco team to kind of address them. Also, if there are any ad hoc things such as smart accounts, if they need any best practice issues or help with that, I can arrange a session with that and a demonstration. But it's really just to try and get them to see the value in the Cisco purchases that they've made.
So at Softcat, we work with a number of different vendors and partners. So we work with the likes of Microsoft, Apple, Lenovo as just as a high level summary. But you've mentioned Cisco there. For those who don't know who Cisco are, can you just explain who they are and what they do?
Yeah, so in terms of Cisco itself, it's the second largest vendor within Softcat, I do believe. And they are a tech reseller. So before, when they first started out, they were selling hardware. So you might have seen when you were at maybe school, like the big computers, that was us guys, Cisco. But they have now moved towards more of like a software licensing, smart licensing type of purchasing. So yeah, that's a little summary of what they sell.
Perfect. And Afisha, same question for yourself. So can you just give a bit more of an overview in terms of what you do on a day-to-day and what you do at Softcat?
Yeah, so we do quoting and ordering for all kit. That's whether it's software or hardware. So a specialist will come to us with a kit list that their customer wants, whether it's devices or software or licensing. We will then quote via Cisco and a break fix partner, which is additional support. And then if they do go through the order, we then onboard that onto the Softcat system.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And just for our audience, as we're speaking, we will be doing a Q&A at the second half of this call. So if you've got any questions that spring to mind, please do pop them in the chat, and we'll ensure that we try and get through as many questions as possible as we go along. So thank you for that. As Jordan's not here yet, I don't know if he's not here yet. So I think I'll fill in. I'll pretend I'm on the panel. So I'll be asking myself the questions and answering them. So in terms of what I do, so as I mentioned, I'm an internal recruiter. So I recruit for our apprenticeship program, so that's mainly for school and college leavers looking to start their careers after school and college. And I also recruit for our brand new program, which is our internship program. So that's all around universities as well. And I've coming up to 4 years at Softcat. That's my longest tenure in any business. So that's a testament to how much I value Softcat as a company. So I'm coming up to my 4th year in September. So obviously this call today is all around transitioning into a world of technology. And the reason why you guys are on panel is because your previous industries that you worked in was not technical. So you have made that transition from a non-techie background into tech. So I'd just be interested to know, what were your professional backgrounds before Softcat? So what roles were you in and what industries were they in?
Yeah, so I went to Cardiff University. I studied criminology for 4 years. Absolutely loved my degree, loved the content, but in terms of jobs wise, I didn't really want to go into like the police force because it didn't align with my personal values. So I decided to go straight into work. Actually worked at Costa, so I can make a banging flat white if anyone wants one. But I didn't actually like my job. So one day I was actually in the pub moaning about my job, and that's how I got approached about Softcat and what a great opportunity it is. So yeah.
Was it Softcat that appealed to you first? Was it going into the tech industry? What was it that kind of inspired you to make that leap and make that transition from retail into Softcat?
So I got asked, have you heard of Softcat? And I was like, no idea what that is at all. And then did my own research, and I think it was the culture. It really reflected on my personal beliefs and kind of how I live a day-to-day activity. And just the way when I had like my first kind of taste today and induction, it really resonated with me. And I think that's what's made such an easy transition, like the culture. So yeah, I definitely say that. And then the work just became so much easier as well with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what about yourself, Afisha? What was your background prior to Softcat?
So I moved around quite a lot within retail because I started to like lose interest in a lot of stuff. And then before I joined Softcat, I was at a GP practice. I was doing like just simple like tech stuff, not really tech, but just like on the computers for them, like admin. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't fast enough for me. So when I was considering leaving, one of my friends was like, "Why don't you try Softcat? They've got jobs." And I was like, "Oh, like I'm sure you have to be like experienced or like have some sort of training to go into a job like that." But I tried for the application anyway. And then when I went for the interview, they reassured me that everything will be taught and I don't need any prior skills. But it's more the feel and the vibe I got from my team and the environment that I would be working in. Everyone was really welcoming. I felt at home, even though I was new. But it showed me how teachable my job is and other tech jobs, because within, do you know what I mean, the first 3 months, I pretty much learned what I was supposed to be doing. And from there, my confidence has only grown. So it didn't take me like a long period of time to understand what I was doing. And you have a lot of access to a lot of resources and support if you do need it.
Yeah, I think on the surface, both of your roles, if you was to read it on a job description, it might put you off because it does sound quite technical what you guys do. Did you have any reservations about entering a kind of techie industry or techie company coming from kind of a retail GP background? Did you have any kind of reservations, any nerves?
Yeah, I would say, especially because I mean, I previously worked at EE, so I know what it's like having high KPIs and stuff. And that's obviously a lot smaller than the numbers that would be happening at Softcat. So naturally, when you know that your job is a stepping stone for a specialist to complete a sale, it's like, it can be a bit intimidating, like having that sort of pressure on you, because you're kind of like the op getting one is semi your responsibility, or like when it comes down to like timing and SLAs. So I feel like in that aspect, it was a bit daunting, like whether or not I'd be able to keep up with the speed that I needed to be working at. But once I learned the role, everything was natural. I didn't really feel like I was working at a fast pace, even though I was, if that makes sense. You sort of just learn it as you go.
Yeah, it really does make sense. So what about you, Natasha? Did you have any kind of reservations or nerves, whether that be around the role itself, the fact that it was tech industry, or the job description, or anything like that?
Yeah, I think for me it was definitely the tech aspect of it. I'd never worked in like the tech industry, so I was very limited with what intelligence I did have surrounding that. But I'd say within the first week, like all those nerves had gone because there's so much support at Softcat, so many resources, so many different enablement sessions that they do provide for you. And they always say like no question's a silly question. So I'm always able to approach someone with any help that I do want. So those worries were gone. I think the second one for me, it's quite odd really, but like having an office job, I'd never had one before. So like a different environment for me, different kind of way of working, obviously having the weekends off as well. But yeah, I think work and the different kind of outside activities that they put on for us has really eased me into that as well.
So let's take you back to the start then. So you both made that decision that Softcat was the place where you're going to apply. Without getting into too much detail, can you just give an overview of what your application process was? So from when you applied to when you got the job and how you found it?
So I originally went for a sales role.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was an account management role. And they didn't think it was as appropriate for kind of my personality and what I could offer to the team. So I got moved to a Cisco CSM role, applied for that, and we clicked instantly. It was great. And it was such a blessing in disguise because I absolutely love my role. I'm more of like a customer facing, wanting to drive that customer experience and customer success than more of like a money kind of orientated person. So it worked out great for me. And I think it was one kind of teams meeting all together, and then one just one-on-one basis to try and get to know you and your personality. And then there was one that was kind of just like an informal chat of like day-to-day activities.
Fab. And what about for yourself, Afisha? What was the process?
So from the time I sent in my application, I heard back pretty quickly. I was assigned a recruiter who explained the whole process to me. So I was told how my journey would be in the application process. If I had any questions, I knew who to reach out to, or the same thing with any queries, they let me know who to contact. I then had my first like informal chat, which was just a bit more to get to know about me, like whether I fit in with the culture at Softcat and what I wanted from a company. And then when I went on to my interview, I met my team. They were really lovely. Like I feel like it was very inviting. So it was an interview, but I was so comfortable that we just was talking the entire time. It didn't actually feel like an interview, even though it was. And then from there, I got the feedback pretty quickly about my success with the interview. And then we had like a settling in session where I met other people from my team. And yeah, then I started and it was really good.
Yeah. So one of you's a year in, one 6 months in. Would you say that the career change has paid off? Are you happy that you made that move into tech and into Softcat?
Yeah, 100%. I would say I'm similar to Natasha. Like I've got two boys, so I'd never worked in an office before. So obviously, naturally, when you go into a full-time job and you're like a parent, it's a bit like you have to work around school run times and stuff. But even with that, I feel like they're very inclusive. So it's very easy to be flexible around stuff to make it work for you. So I feel like that in itself was positive and then encouraged me, do you know what I mean, to stick with it. And I don't think I change it now. Not at all.
Oh, fab. What about you, Natasha?
Yeah, I'd say exactly the same. It's so nice to kind of like not dread Sundays and kind of love like kind of want the week to go on a Friday because you are enjoying it. And like I haven't hated kind of learning about tech. I've enjoyed it and embraced it. And there's so much support, like I said earlier. So yeah, definitely wouldn't regret it.
So one of you guys are based in Marlow office, one of you are based in South Coast, and then I'm based in Birmingham. I think when you're on the outside in, sometimes with tech, there's a preconception that tech is a bit stuffy, a bit kind of traditional as an industry. But I think we all know working at Softcat that it's far from that. Can you just give the audience a bit of a flavour of what life is like to work at Softcat? What kind of stuff happens in our company?
It's great.
I've
I love
rendered you
it.
speechless, haven't I? Because there's so much to discuss.
I was gonna say, I used to get in on like a Monday, like make a coffee, and then maybe like half an hour in, you just hear banging music and everyone celebrating the figures that sales have made each week. So it's great to get that atmosphere warmed up, like everyone's smiling, having a great time. And obviously now it's our end of year for Softcat, so we're really trying to reach like the numbers that we need to hit. So there's a great buzz. Like there's always a buzz in the office, but at the moment it is amazing, and you can just approach people if you've got any questions. But yeah, it's a really good vibe, I'd say, in the office.
And then Afisha, you're in Marlow. We've got a couple of High Wycombe and I'm sure wider Buckinghamshire area audience members. So what is it like being in head office in Marlow?
It's a every week is different. That's the way I describe it. I'd say like every time you go into work, there's some sort of appreciation or incentive going. So it's kind of like, I feel like the saying, your business is as good as your employees. And I feel like that resonates really well with Softcat, because the teams produce the results because the environment is so positive and boosts so much morale. I feel like everyone's really rewarded for their hard work. It doesn't go unappreciated. And I feel like they present a lot of opportunities that maybe you wouldn't get outside of Softcat. I feel even outside of my team, I've met a lot of people within Softcat and outside of Softcat that I wouldn't have. And that's just from taking opportunities that Softcat have given or that have arisen whilst I've been at Softcat. And also just everyone talks to everyone. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's no like clicky vibes, or like I've never had any bad vibes from anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like even if you're in the canteen on your own, like people will make conversation with you, or you'll get involved with conversation. So I feel like genuinely like it's hard not to feel included when you're at Softcat.
And then just to touch on Softcat a little bit more. So one big part of us is the community element. So we've got a number of different networks that I know you guys have had a bit of a part in. I've actually got, is it behind me? I don't know where I've put it. I've actually got a t-shirt that's arrived for one of the networks. It came today. It's just a little plug, the Ethnic and Culture Diversity Network. Can you see that? There you go, my t-shirt arrived today. So could one of you describe a little bit about our networks, what they are, what kind of networks we have and the kind of stuff we do within them?
Yeah, so we've got a massive range of networks that we have within Softcat. It's just people from all walks of life, different hobbies, and it's just somewhere that you can kind of take yourself maybe outside of work and just discuss things that kind of matter to you. So for the EC network, it's really good for any updates on different religions, different things that are going on across the world. And we also have open coffee talks. I think they're like once a month now, if I'm correct.
And EC, by the way, stands for the Ethnic and Culture Diversity Network, because we've got a habit at Softcat of abbreviating everything. That's what it stands for those that are wondering.
Yeah, so it's a great time to just discuss things and how we're going to kind of better the business to move to like that kind of equity state, and just recognizing everyone for their differences but also appreciating them. So yeah, I'm part of the EC network and then also the Softcat running network. I am a bit scared.
I've not heard of that.
Yeah, so it is there, but I'm a bit scared to speak in it, because I'm like, if anyone wants to go for a run with me after the London Marathon, I'm not a runner anymore. So, but yeah, so there's something there for everyone, and it's great just to kind of see people that reflect you inside and outside the workspace.
And if anyone wants to find out more about our networks and what we have, so we've got the Women in Business Network, we've got the Ethnic and Culture Diversity Network, the Pride Network, we've got Faith Network. You can find out more about networks by scanning one of the QR codes. You can either look at the About Us or the Careers page and you'll be able to see the networks as well. And one of the things that the Ethnic and Culture Diversity Network celebrate every year is Black History Month. And I know, Afisha, me and you went to the BYP event in October as part of Black History Month. How did you find it?
I was actually speaking about this earlier. I've really enjoyed it. I feel like because I'd only joined Softcat like a month prior to the event, like I didn't know anyone when I was going. I literally just got the train up there and I had to meet and introduce myself to the team when I got there. But I feel like even that in itself, like usually I wouldn't have the confidence to go to an event like that on my own because there's so many attendees. But I feel like joining Softcat anyway boosted my confidence. And then when the opportunity came up to attend the BYP, I was really keen to go. And when I did, I feel like the benefits I got from that really helped me, especially as I was in my early starts of my tech career. I feel like I learned a lot from that conference and have applied it to my journey so far.
Yeah, 100%. I really enjoyed it as well. It was lovely to meet you in person. That was the first time that we met. And I think the fact that you guys are sat on this panel to this audience 6 to 1 year in is testament to the confidence that you guys have built in your careers as well. So that's really great to see. So obviously the main topic of discussion today was we could potentially have job seekers that are on the course, of people that are looking to start a career in technology. There might be people who are interested in Softcat. So what advice would you give for anyone that is perhaps currently in a different industry and would like to start a career in technology? What advice would you give to them?
I think the tech industry is such a broad, like there's so many different roles, especially in Softcat. So I just say research the roles and kind of find out what qualities you have that would suit that type of role. I think one of the concerns that I had was obviously moving from my criminology based role to like a tech role. I was like, have I got any skills that are gonna help me? And then I kind of sat down and thought, I was like, well, actually, like with criminology, you're thinking about people, like what they want, what they need. And I was like, with customer experience, it's obviously not crime based, but it is related to kind of figuring out what people want and providing it for them. So yeah, just kind of thinking to yourself what is going to benefit this role that I've got inside of myself, and just ask people, like, how do you find the job, like what kind of qualities do you have, does this resonate with me? And yeah, LinkedIn, like approach people, join like seminars like this, speak to people that have done it, and it is achievable because we're on this panel. So yeah.
Yeah, and as you were speaking, one thing stuck out to me is in a lot of job descriptions or job adverts, there'll be a section of what we're looking for. And I think sometimes people overlook that because if you read into that, a lot of the time they're not looking for experience, like they're not looking for 5-10 years experience in tech. It might be organizational skills, things like you said from your degree that could be easily applied into roles. So like you say, think about the roles themselves, like what areas you want to go into. We're from very different cross sections of the business, recruitment, customer success and solutions, but we all are in tech and we're not in techie roles. So yeah, that's great advice. And what about yourself, Afisha? What advice would you give to anyone that's seeking to kind of move into a career in a tech industry?
So kind of along the same lines, really. I'd say just make sure you research your role. I feel like a lot of the time, as you said, like there's not actually experience required because they can teach you. They just need your determination and your want to achieve. And I feel like don't put anything past yourself. If you're unsure of whether you have the skills for a job, then you can always ask. And I'd always say as well, think about your transferable skills. With Softcat, I feel like they offer a lot of courses which are technical but also non-technical, because for a lot of the jobs, although you need the tech side of it, there's a lot of personal skills that people need to be able to successfully manage the role. And I feel like sometimes you might not have a lot of tech, but you might have other strong skills that are transferred to the role where it, do you know what I mean? There won't be so much for you to learn other than the tech stuff, but you can bring more to the role that maybe others don't have. So I feel like when you are looking for a role, figure out what you can offer and really build on that.
Yeah, perfect. I'm going to ask you two final questions before we open up to the panel. My first question being, in fact, it's escaped my mind now. It was as you were speaking. I'll ask the second question and then I'll go back to that one. So number one, why would you recommend Softcat as a place to work?
I think for me, it's the culture, like the fun, and it's a very like work hard, play hard, and you are rewarded for the work that you do. There's so many incentives for sales and non-sales, just to show you like the appreciation that your work is appreciated. Like even every day when we do the figures in the morning, like for sales, just to kind of show what they've done, and everyone's obviously cheering and celebrating that. It just shows that the work that you do is appreciated. So yeah, I'd say the culture and the appreciation, definitely.
And then same question to you, Afisha, why would you recommend Softcat as a place to work?
Again, I'd say the culture. I feel like it's nice to mix with such a different range of people, whether that's age, like ethnicity, or like whatever the differences are. I feel like I've learned and met so many different people and connected with so many different people. But also, I feel like the growth that comes with working at Softcat, I feel like there's a lot of encouragement around character development and professional development, and there's a lot of support around it. Obviously, growth isn't always in an upwards direction. You can move across, and I feel like with Softcat, they always try and encourage and support you in being comfortable and make sure that you're in the best position to succeed at your role. So I feel like even if you get to a point where you might have a bit of a drop, or you feel like you're struggling, you're not ever going to be judged or penalized for that. You'll more be supported and put in a place where it's like, okay, what can we do to fix this? And even if there's not a solution, you'll be then given or exposed to other opportunities within Softcat, because they still want to encourage your growth within the company.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that. And I do remember the question now. It's why would you recommend the tech industry as an industry to, because there's so many industries out there. It's quite a volatile market at the moment for people. There's layoffs and redundancies. So if people are looking for a job, why should they consider the tech industry as an industry to get into?
I think there's just so much that you can do with tech. And obviously, if you were to look at, I don't know, even like the iPhone, like it hasn't been around for that long, but it's developed so much. Like there's so much that technology is doing with like advancements, say like AI, like that's up and coming now. Like there's going to be so much that we can do within the tech industry. So once you get your foot in the door with that, you've got so many opportunities, and Softcat only betters that. So yeah, I definitely recommend it.
Added in that little Softcat plug again. We love to see it.
We love it.
And Afisha, same question to you. Why would you recommend the tech industry as an industry to get into?
I would just say, again, how teachable it is. I feel like a lot of people can be put off because it can look complicated, but once you break it down, it's really not that complicated in like some aspects of it. So I feel like getting your foot in the door, your ability to learn is huge, and I feel like there's a lot for potential growth. And as Natasha said, it's such a growing industry. Like as it grows more, there'll be more like roles and positions that open up or are created because of the need. So I feel like naturally it's an industry that isn't going to slow down anytime soon because of the way obviously the world's going. It's, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you for that. So that kind of concludes the discussion side of things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to open up our chat to see what questions we've got. I'm going to temporarily stop sharing because sometimes when I open up new windows, it pops up and I don't want people to see that. So, okay, let's see what we've got. Right. So thank you guys for your questions so far. So first comment, I can share my screen again. Let me share my screen again. I'm just going to read it first. Okay. So someone said that they've been wanting to do a careerist sales engineer program because they have a marketing background. They'd love to get into cybersecurity, but they have a change management, marketing and communications background. I guess that's a question for me. So thank you for your question, Marissa. I guess what I would say is any advice that I could give when changing careers is there's a number of different programs out there. So apprenticeship training providers or other training providers might do like a little boot camp. So it's like a program where you'll go on for 6 to 12 weeks. They'll train you in the necessary skills. And then sometimes there's a guarantee of an interview as well. So I just say do a bit of research into any kind of boot camps in the specific skills that you're looking for. For example, we do like a tech starter program. So that's all around getting women into the world of work, women who've had a career break or are changing careers and whatnot. So that's just an example of a program that we do. But you're more than welcome to connect to me on LinkedIn and I'll be happy to discuss that in more detail. So first question comes from Jane. So the question is, with there being so many layoffs in the tech industry right now, what roles would you say are the most secure? Okay. So that's a difficult one because I don't want to put a role out there and then it's not secure. What do you guys think? Because to be fair, at Softcat, on the whole, we didn't make any redundancies at all during the pandemic or anything like that. So I would say probably don't focus on the roles, but focus on companies. Would you guys be inclined to agree with that? Yeah. See, I would say, yeah, don't focus specifically on roles, because you could go for a role, but if you're within an industry or a company that is quite volatile or they're not performing, then there's going to be risks. So I'd say do your research. Places like Glassdoor can give you a good indication. Reading companies' annual reports as well can give you a good indication of how they're performing. So I would say research companies. Go, if you've got a role in mind, then think of the company that you want to work for and make sure it's a secure company. Okay. So I've got a question for you, Afisha. So this comes from Ade. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Can you please go over what a Solutions Hub executive does? So they just want a bit more information in terms of your role.
Okay, so with our team, we have specialists and AMs, which is account managers. They will have customers. Our team's not customer facing, so our customers are internal, which is the specialists and AMs. So for example, if a company like Tesco's went to my specialist and said they wanted 400 tills supported for 2 years, which means support would be if something breaks down or something isn't working properly, we then would fix the issue or send an engineer out to fix the issue. We price what that would be for the 2 years. So we quote what the support is. If they order the kit from us, we then quote what the kit is. And then once it gets to the ordering stage, that's sent off to a different team who then take it from there. So essentially, we fulfill quotes and orders for Cisco.
Hope that answered your question. But if you did want more information, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Afisha, you're more than welcome to add Afisha on LinkedIn, and she can give you a lot more information in terms of what she does. I've had another question that's come in that says, just making sure I'm doing things in order. Or what roles do you think will be good for transitioning from teaching into tech? So one area that springs to mind is learning and development. So we've got a learning and development team here at Softcat, and basically they're the team that's responsible for all of our programs and all of our kind of learning and development, as the name implies, for all of our employees. So that is inductions when they first come into the business. It's any specific kind of training programs that we run, such as the sales development program. It's a shame Jordan wasn't here to speak on that, but sales development is another example. So I believe in our team, we've had people that were teachers and came across into learning and development, because there is that element of the training and things like that. So I would probably say learning and development would be a good role or industry to get into if you're coming from a teaching background. So that's that question. Next question is, what is the application process like for Softcat? I feel like we've gone over this. It's essentially, so it will be initial stage, you apply for one of the roles, then it might be either a telephone call or a video call. And then depending on the role, it kind of goes differently. So if it's for like the roles that Afisha or Natasha did, then it might be a second stage interview with a recruiter and a final stage interview with the teams. Or if it's for our big programs, like our apprenticeship programs or our sales programs, then you do an assessment center and then final stage interviews after that. I hope that answers your question. Next question is, how often does Softcat hire people? The answer is all the time. We're never off. We've got roles available now. Good times to apply for Softcat specifically would be August, because our financial year comes to an end at the end of this month, and then August, September, October time is when we release new roles. So if you go on our careers page and you're thinking, I'm not seeing right now the kind of role I want to go into, then keep looking over these next few months. I think, let me just see if there's any other questions right now. Someone has asked that they'd be really interested in going to, okay, this could be a question for either one of you. So they're really interested in going into a technical role after they finish their apprenticeship, but they don't have any experience. How would you recommend they go about doing this?
I think just go for it. Like, I think one thing that we've definitely said as well is we haven't had any experience in tech, or Afisha's had limited experience in tech, but there is so much support that you'll get from Softcat. Like, we've got our Softcat intranet, which kind of tells you about the different roles that Softcat can offer. We've got different enablement sessions that we put on, like even like a weekly basis for you to learn like even soft skills. I did one the other day on Excel because I'm rubbish at using Excel, and it was so beneficial to me. But then you can also get more like tech specific ones as well, and people on your team are so willing to help you. Like the Cisco team is huge, and I'll speak to them maybe every single day on like a different section, but everyone's just there to support you. So yeah, definitely for an apprenticeship, go for it.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think a key thing is networking. So I actually started my career in sales at Softcat, and I moved across into recruitment, and I didn't have any experience. I had the sales background, which I think is key, but it's because I did so much work with the Ethnic and Cultural Diversity Network. It just meant that I was working in collaboration with the head of recruitment, with key directors, with a couple of heads of. So it meant that when a role became available, I was in a prime position because they'd already seen the work I'd be doing from a diversity perspective and from the network side of things. So I'd say build your network. So get to know people in the areas that you want to get to know, see if you can shadow them. If you work in a good company, then that company will want to enable you and want to keep you. So a good company should be encouraging you to speak to other departments. If you don't, then that's the red flag. That's the red flag, I'm afraid, and maybe you should move on. But at Softcat, we're very open. So there's loads of people that have moved from sales into other areas and vice versa as well. So just have that conversation with the key teams, I would say, and start networking. Okay. Someone asked, how long does the application process take? So for both of you, from when you applied to when you got the job, how long did it take? If you can remember.
For me, it took, I want to say like 6 to 8 weeks. But because I had that shift from sales to non-sales, there was like a bit of a delay.
Yeah.
But the communication during that process was constant. So I wasn't kind of out of the loop, like left in the lurch. So yeah, it flew by for me.
How about for yourself, Afisha? How long did it take for you?
I want to say 3 weeks, maybe 4. I feel like my process was quite quick. I feel like I had an update on my application at least once a week. If there wasn't an update, my recruiter would call me and just check in and make sure that I was still trying to go ahead of the application, and just to inform me that, you know what I mean, even if they're taking a bit longer, they will get back in touch with me. But I feel like from the beginning to the end, it didn't feel longer than 3 weeks. I don't think it was, but it was very quick.
I don't know if I've got some of my recruitment team on the call, but they'll be very happy to hear that you got regular feedback from them. So that's a plus on our side. Yeah, we do try as much as possible to keep candidates updated, because we appreciate that sometimes candidates go on holiday, sometimes the hiring managers do or whatever, so we can't get you through as quickly as possible, but we do try and keep people updated. So it looks like it's an average of, well, it depends really. It looks like it's an average of 2 weeks, 2 to 8 weeks, depending on role. Okay, I've got a difficult question now. Are you ready for it? Yeah, I'm gonna give it anyway. So, with robotic process automation on its way, do you feel that this will mean less jobs tech-wise in the long term?
I don't think so, because there's still like a product to be produced, and I work in customer success, so customers are either going to be happy or sad with their products, so they need someone to speak to, and I don't think like a robot or API is going to be sufficient enough to kind of aid like a system. Like customer success is growing so much, so I don't think it's going to have that much of a downfall on us.
I also think as well, I mean, AI is very sophisticated. I'm finding it really scary the way that people, have you seen those AI songs where it's like they take a modern song and Michael Jackson singing it? What's that about? But that's another discussion for another day. I don't think people on this I don't think people are on this webinar to hear about that topic. But I think with AI, as sophisticated as it is, surely nothing can replace speaking to a human, because I think sometimes there'll be situations where AI can't gauge like so for example, a human might say something, but then you might hear in their tone that what they're saying but what they're feeling is 2 different things. And you might get that in customer success. Your customer's saying they're happy, but you can hear it in their voice that they're not. So then you would probe them further. you know, can I just double check, is it this or it's that I don't know if AI will be able to. So I think it'll be there, but I don't know if we're ever going to get to the point where it's replaced. It's like self-service, isn't it, at Tesco? Like you still get people who queue up to speak to the human because
Even
they
with
want
our
to.
team, like sometimes we've got like a macro, which is like a pre-written response. But even sometimes they'll have additional questions or more specific personal questions to what they want that the macro can't answer. So you have to speak to someone that is specified to answer that.
Yeah, exactly that. So I hope that answers your question, Damien. I don't think there's going to be, I feel like it will hopefully help people in the jobs that they do currently to help make processes quicker. But I don't know if we're there yet in terms of robotics completely replacing humans just yet. But AIs might be working in the background as we speak. So I don't know. I can't speak on that. Another question that we have, I think this is for myself. So does Softcat offer scope for you to work remotely from abroad? So I want to get in trouble with the IT team. So basically, we all have laptops, which means that technically, so long as you can get online, you can. We don't offer permanent working remotely contracts abroad, but if, for example, you are abroad and you're on holiday, for example, but you need to get on a call, like that's what Jordan was today. So he was actually going to call in from abroad, then yes, that is possible. But in terms of working remotely, so we work on a hybrid working model. So it means that we expect our employees to come in around 3 days a week out of 5. I think we have a small percentage of people who do work remotely. So we do offer occasional remote contracts, but we don't offer any that are abroad, unless, actually, having said that, we do have an office in the US, in Washington. So obviously we do offer roles there, and we do have some satellite offices in other locations as well, but those roles are very few and far between. I don't know if I answered that as strongly as you would like, but that's the answer. So yes, you can occasionally work abroad if you need to get online, but in terms of abroad contracts, it's on the whole no, unless you're applying for one of our offices. Okay, next question is for you, Natasha. So what's your day-to-day life like in customer success? This person works in customer services and they just want to know what your role is like.
So I think a bit of advice that I took when I first started the job was with this role, you kind of make your own like day-to-day activities. There's always something to do, like don't get me wrong, but it's kind of looking at what stage of the customer life cycle a customer is at and then trying to shift them along. So looking at whether they're in the purchase stage, whether they're in that adopt phase, which is when, you know, maybe something's going wrong or they want to strengthen how they're using their Cisco products, and reaching out and engaging with them. Some days I might have loads of onboardings to do, which is when a customer's purchased a product and we basically tell them some best practices, show them the portals that we use. And then other days it might just be like ad hoc queries that someone from another office might have, or someone in this office might have, and we just want a bit of help with Cisco. It depends. But yeah, there's loads to do, but it's great.
Thank you for that. So next question comes from Jane, and she asks, how many Black people are in higher level C-suite positions at Softcat? So we're a very transparent company at Softcat. And the thing is, when it comes to the tech industry, I don't want to paint a rose-tinted view that everything is perfect. So when you go into the industry, we are a minority as Black professionals within that, and Softcat is no exception. So unfortunately, we don't have any Black people that are at C-suite yet. But we're doing lots to try and ensure that we progress not only our Black professionals, but our ethnic minorities and our women as well. So we're trying to do a lot in terms of recruitment and retention to keep them, because we know that if we keep people and we progress them, then it means that they're our next generation of C-suite. We also have what's called a LFP, which is a leadership development program or something along those lines, which is all around identifying key people within the business, putting them on a program that essentially builds our next generation. So we're not there yet, we're not satisfied with that, but we are doing everything we can. But we know that these things take time, so the investments that we make now will hopefully help us in the next kind of 5 years plus in changing the way that our C-suite looks. We've made improvements on the gender perspective, but we've got a long way to go from an ethnic minority perspective. But within our kind of extended leadership team, we do have Black professionals within that. So we've got a senior leadership team. So that's our C-suite. So that's like CEO, CFO, etc. And then we have an extended leadership team. So that's like our heads of and key management. So we do have Black professionals within our extended leadership team, but we've still got work to do to get them to that next level, and that's what we're working towards. It could be me. I could be CEO, you know, in 5 years. I jest. I've got a long way to go. But in all seriousness, we're doing all we can to strive to get our Black professionals as high and break that glass ceiling. So I hope that answers your question. The questions are flying in now. So Sandra has asked, what's it like working in public sector sales? Now, I can answer the sales bit specifically, but have you guys worked with public sector customers at all? Do you do that within your roles?
I personally don't that much. We have account CSMs which kind of deal with our bigger accounts, and they are usually towards the public sector customers. So yeah, I wouldn't say on a day-to-day basis, no.
What about you, Afisha?
It's pretty much the same with our team. We don't really communicate with public sector, and if we did, it'd be like the senior members of our team.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll try and give the best description as I can. So within Softcat, we have over 800 sales executives. So sales makes up 53% of our business. We are a sales organization. So we resell products and services to customers. That is what we do. And our customers come from the corporate sector, and they also come from public sector. So we have a range of customers that come from education, government, NHS, higher education, so universities and such. And also the armed forces as well, and also like the police and blue light. So we've got a range of customers from across the UK. So within them, we have the public sector sales team, and it's their job to manage those accounts, to sell products and services into customers, manage those accounts and grow them as well. And then the way that works is when you join the programs, you start off with schools and colleges. So that's so for our sales development program executives, i.e. Our kind of entry-level sales executives, they start off by selling into schools and colleges. They'll do that for about a year, I think. And then what happens is once they graduate after that, they can choose where they want to go into. So they can choose to apply for something like higher education, the NHS and government, and they apply for that. And then if they get in, then they then can start breaking into accounts and growing that way. So I hope that answers your question there. Does Softcat have any roles within project management, asks Dina. We do. We have a project management team, yeah. So it's a team dedicated to supporting our sales executives with specific projects. So I hope that answers your question. I don't know if we have any roles at the moment, but we are always recruiting, so keep an eye on our website. Another person asks, what is the Birmingham office like? Well, I'm biased. It's obviously the best office in Softcat. No, I'm joking. Every office is special in their own way. The Birmingham office opened in 2019, and I was there at the start when it opened back in 2019. At that point, we only had, can you believe, 11 people in the office when we started. And if you fast track today, 100 people now report into the Birmingham office. So I'm sat here today in the Birmingham office. All of the offices are really vibrant. We're all in casual dress because you can wear casual dress. I would say it's a really friendly office to be a part of. If you know Birmingham well, we're opposite Snow Hill Station, so it's really central, and it's got great links to all of the office locations as well. So I think it's personally a fabulous office, but I think all of them are, and they all have their own kind of nuances as well. Okay, let me just see if there's any other questions. I'm not too sure. Is Jordan on the call? Is he here?
Yes, Keith. Yeah, I'm here on the call.
Hi, Jordan. We've only got 9 minutes left, so let me ask you, can you give an overview of your role and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So as a sales development program manager, day to day, what I have to do is help any people who join the sales development program with their day in, day out queries. So as their manager, I'm their point of contact for anything they have questions on. So I think it gives people that extra layer of support when they first join the company. So I help you with like your day-to-day structure, any questions you may have on things as wide as, you know, generally a quote request or something more strategic as to how you're going to help a customer through a requirement they brought you. And then I've still got my day-to-day roles, selling as an account manager, account executive, selling it to my customers, building my relationships with them, and yeah, doing the general stuff that all the other account executives, account managers are doing.
You're based, am I right in saying you're based in the London office?
Yeah, that's correct.
And how long have you been at Softcat?
It's coming up to it's literally 2 years now. So I started 2021 August, and yes, it's been a great 2 years.
And I'm sorry that we've run out of time to speak to you in more detail, but if anyone wants to find, as I said, our sales department is our biggest department at Softcat. So if anyone is interested in joining a career in sales, I would encourage you to reach out to Jordan on LinkedIn, and I'm sure he'd be happy to provide more information. But if you could give, I suppose, why would you recommend a career in sales for an individual on this call today?
So the very reason I got into sales is that I saw it as something that was something that would directly reward you for hard work, like no other industry would. So I don't think there's any other industry out there that you could put in the hard work like you do within sales and reap the rewards that you would within sales within a short period of time. I think it's very rewarding personally in terms of developing yourself and being able to do things that you never thought you'd be able to do. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us doubt that we'd be able to go and pitch to C-level executives that are all in their 40s, 50s, 60s and convince them to spend, 5, 6, 7 figures with us. But that's something I've been able to realize myself that I can do. So yeah, just in a nutshell, I think it's really rewarding in terms of what you put in and you're going to get out so much.
And you came from a gas and engineering sales background. So again, a completely different industry into tech. So why would you recommend the tech industry as a place to enter a career into?
So yeah, I was doing gas and electric sales before this. When I came out of uni, just started doing that. Main reason because some people told me I'd be good at sales, and then I started doing a bit more research into sales, and I saw that pharmaceutical sales and tech sales were the two top industries for sales in terms of potential to make money. Never had much interest in going into pharmaceuticals. I think the ethics behind it were a bit dodgy as well, behind selling that. So I thought, you know what, tech was the one for me, which is the reason I went into it. And I think in terms of longevity, looking forward into the future as well, I think it's a career path that's going to, stand the test of time. I think most businesses, not every business now, needs some kind of tech to function and be competitive.
Perfect. And then so Jordan is based in the London office. So the London office is literally opposite the Gherkin. So you couldn't be more London if you tried. So as I said, if you've got any questions around the London office, life as a sales executive, then please do reach out to Jordan. He'd be happy to help. We're getting up to the last 5 minutes now, so I'm just going to reiterate this final question. So I know we've spoken about it already, but I think it's a nice question to round off with once again. So what advice would you give to those on this call who are thinking about joining the tech industry? So I'll pass that over to you, Jordan. So yeah, for yourself, what advice would you give to those on this call today thinking about joining the tech industry?
Sorry, Keisha, I lost you for a second.
That's okay. Just what advice would you give to those on the call who are thinking about joining the tech industry?
One thing I'd say is be patient with yourself. Definitely give yourself the time to learn. Because my biggest concern joining this industry was knowledge and feeling like I was out of my depth and, being easily recognized out of my depth. So it's important to, be patient yourself, speak to people in the industry, speak to colleagues a lot. Try to do as much learning outside that you can. And just enjoying the process. I guess it might sound a bit corny, but it is a process. And if you're able to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, I think everyone will really enjoy it.
Thanks, Jordan. And I'll just add some advice there as well. So I'd say, do it. If you're considering what industry to go into, I couldn't recommend the tech industry enough. So I come from an estate agency background, and I also worked in engineering sales. So this was a complete new industry for myself, and I was quite dubious about it. But it's definitely an industry that is always ever growing. It's something that every business and every personal user needs technology in their lives. So it's a ever growing industry. But in terms of advice or any tips that I could give, do your research into companies. I can't stress that enough. So you've got places like Glassdoors. I mean, the reviews can be quite brutal on there, but they're honest. So that gives you a really good flavor of what people really think, not just the nicey nice stuff that you hear on, I was about to say seminars, this is one of them, but you can read our glass, I'd encourage you to go on our Glassdoors, read the reviews, because that's from real people. Also go on things like best places to work. So we've been nominated multiple times for best places to work, because that gives you an indication of the companies that are constantly winning awards. Those are the places that you want to be applying for. And just continue to do stuff like this, continue to join seminars, BYP events as well. They're great opportunities to network with people. And particularly as this is a Black professional network, speak with Black professionals, because we all know that it's a challenge going into a role or career or industry as a minority. And it's important that we go into a place where we feel comfortable. So, be empowered to speak to other Black professionals about companies that are empowering Black professionals and making Black professionals feel welcome. So that ends our seminar. I'm just going to pass back to BYP, but before I do, I just wanted to say thank you so much to Natasha, to Afisha, and Jordan. I know he's having tech issues, but we got you in at the end, and that's the main thing. So thank you to you as well. Thank you to all three of you for your participation, and thank you to you, the listeners and the audience, for listening as well. I hope you've enjoyed this webinar. You're more than welcome to add any one of us on LinkedIn. Please do take the QR codes to our website and our careers pages, and we hope to hear from any of you anytime soon. And I'll pass back to the BYP team.